People love to act as if the year ends somewhere around October. After that, it's whatever happens, happens. I'll deal with my life next year. From an astrological point of view, though, that's not how it works. The sky doesn't care about corporate calendars, holiday schedules, or you're famous. I'll start in January. The last stretch of the year works much more like overtime in a game. The clock is ticking louder. The field is smaller, but you can still change the final score. You can still lose a chance, fix a situation, make a decision, or open a door that completely changes how 2025 ends for you. When you ask, what can still happen for my sign before the end of 2025? You're not asking about a fixed script that you're forced to follow. You're asking which themes are getting louder now and in which areas of life you still have real room to choose, move, and reposition yourself. To start, it makes sense to look at the signs that feel this kind of energy the most, simply because they were not born to sit still. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Fire signs usually experience the end of the year as a mix of urgency and opportunity. While a lot of people slide into a doesn't matter anymore mood, fire energy starts to feel that something important is still on the way, as if the universe were whispering, don't switch off yet, there's another scene coming. For Aries, this final phase of 2025 looks a lot like a direct push from life asking whether you really want to carry exactly the same version of your life into 2026. Situations connected to work, projects, independence, and direction start to move faster. A boss might leave, a position might open, an unexpected offer can show up, a clash with authority can come out of nowhere, a project might suddenly grow, or simply show clearly that it has reached the end of its line. All of this puts you face to face with the need to make bolder and cleaner choices. Instead of acting only from the urge to escape what feels uncomfortable, the energy invites you to step toward what actually makes more sense for who you are now, even if that step is scary. In relationships, Aries also tends to feel this climate of definition. Half relationships, almost something stories and connections that never move out of the kind of stage become harder and harder to maintain. Conversations you've been postponing start to press from the inside. It's not so much that other people demand clarity. It's that you no longer tolerate staying in gray zones forever. Sometimes this means finally owning a deeper commitment. In other cases, it means admitting that something no longer has a real place in your path. The main challenge for Aries at the end of 2025 is not to confuse movement with impulsiveness. Jumping into the first new thing that appears just to run away from discomfort can create a bigger problem later. The energy of this period supports you when you use your natural courage, but mix it with at least a minimum of strategy. Leo goes through this part of the year with a strong focus on image and the feeling of being under spotlight. It isn't only about public image, social media, or applause. It is also about the way you see yourself when things get quiet. The question the sky seems to ask is, who did you become over the course of 2025, and how much of that is actually visible in the way you live? Invitations to show yourself more may appear. Chances to present your work, take on a leadership role, join an important project, or simply be more present in some social circle. Instead of seeing that only as vanity or pressure, it helps to understand this as an opportunity to bring character and essence closer together. In many cases, Leo realizes that a lot of time has been spent trying to match other people's expectations, holding a certain standard of shine that is exhausting because it isn't spontaneous. The final stretch of 2025 can bring encounters, comments, situations, and even criticism that work as mirrors. Sometimes someone notices a quality in you that you yourself had forgotten. Sometimes someone points out that what used to be confidence has slowly turned into performance. This shows up in relationships too. People are drawn in when they feel the real person behind the image and quietly move away when everything starts to feel like a show. Growth for Leo now means letting the heart lead the image, allowing more vulnerability, more humanity, and more authenticity to come through, even if at first it feels like losing a bit of shine. In practice, you don't lose. Your light simply becomes more stable and real. Sagittarius enters the end of 2025 with that familiar sense that there is still a lot of world to explore and a lot of experiences left to live. But there's an important difference in tone. The universe is not encouraging expansion just for the sake of collecting stamps in a passport, contact on a phone, or stories to tell at parties. The deeper question is, what is the purpose of your growth now? Opportunities related to travel, study, moving, international projects, teaching, exploring new directions at work or in life may appear just when many people only want to slow down. They might seem risky, badly timed, or inconvenient, but they come with a strong message about the direction of your story. You may find yourself facing decisions where you have to choose between staying in a life you know very well, but that has stopped inspiring you, and stepping into a path that resonates much more with your current values. It might be a course that opens your mind, a job offered in a different place, a relationship that invites you to a new kind of commitment, a project that needs your courage to leave the idea stage and become real. At the same time, it becomes clearer where you've been confusing freedom with escape. Sometimes saying, "I don't want to be tied down," is just a soft way of saying, "I'm afraid to choose and be wrong." The big challenge for Sagittarius in this final piece of the year is to be more selective with your yes. Instead of accepting anything that looks like an adventure and refusing everything that asks for responsibility, you are invited to choose a few experiences that truly match the future you quietly feel inside. When you do that, life usually responds in a special way, opening doors that would stay shut if you remained in permanent indecision. Underneath it all, what the fire signs share at the end of 2025 is a clear call to use courage more consciously. Life can still bring important changes, unexpected invitations, situations that demand action, and choices that shape the next years. It's not about acting at any cost, nor about waiting for the sky to solve everything for you. It's about recognizing that you are not the same person you were in January, and that the decisions you make now will reflect exactly who you have become. If you are Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, it is worth paying attention to where life is pushing you with the most insistence. That is probably the place where, before the year is over, you still have a very real chance to turn a key and change an important chapter in your story. If fire signs feel the end of the year as a call to action, earth signs feel it as a silent audit. The energy shifts from what am I daring to do to what exactly am I building here? For Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, the last stretch of 2025 touches the ground beneath their feet. Work, money, health, routine, responsibilities. The things that keep life functioning after the excitement fades. It is less about fireworks and more about foundations. And foundations, when they are already cracked, cannot be pushed for much longer. For Taurus, this period acts like a very honest check-in with security. Not the theoretical kind, but the kind you feel in your bank account, in your body, and in the way you breathe when you think about the future. You may notice that situations involving money, possessions, work, and comfort get louder. A bill you used to ignore starts to bother you more. A job that used to be fine starts to feel like too much effort for too little return. Habits you once justified as a reward begin to feel like a burden. It is as if life were asking in a calm but firm tone, "Is this really worth the price you are paying?" This does not mean everything will collapse. Many times, the movement comes in the form of opportunities, a chance to renegotiate terms, change a contract, reorganize debts, accept a different way of earning, simplify expenses, share responsibilities. But every opportunity comes with a test. Are you choosing out of fear or out of values? Taurus has a strong instinct to hold on to what is familiar, even when it no longer feels good. The end of 2025 invites you to notice where you're calling stability, what is actually just habit and resistance to change. You may discover that real comfort is not having everything, but having what truly matches your life as it is now, without constantly tightening yourself on the inside to sustain it. There's also a physical element here. Taurus is a sign of the body and the senses, so the body tends to speak more loudly in this phase. Foods that do not sit well, environments that drain your energy, relationships that leave you tense for days, all of that becomes more obvious. If you insist on ignoring these signals, the exhaustion grows. If you listen, even small adjustments, more rest, different choices, saying no to one extra obligation, can restore a sense of groundedness that has been missing for a while. The message for Taurus is clear. Before 2025 ends, it is still possible to make your life simpler, lighter, and more faithful to what truly nourishes you. But that happens when you dare let go of some things you used to call essential. Virgo, in turn, feels this final stretch in every part of daily life. While others are focused only on big events, You are likely to notice how the small things are off. The way your day is structured, the number of tasks you try to fit into 24 hours, the way your mind never really rests, the gap between your expectations and what your body can realistically deliver. The end of 2025 works almost like a magnifying glass on your systems. The systems that support you tend to become clearer. The ones that quietly sabotage you start to creak. You might experience changes in work dynamics, a team reshuffle, a new responsibility that forces you to reorganize your schedule, the end of a project you've carried alone for a long time, or even a wake-up call in the form of pure exhaustion. Your famous ability to handle it can start to show cracks. The question is not whether you are capable. Everyone knows you are. The question is whether it is still healthy to live permanently in problem-solving mode, sacrificing sleep, joy, and presence just to keep everything running smoothly for everyone else. Health also steps into the conversation in a subtle but firm way. Small symptoms you may have dismissed as no big deal can show up more frequently. Headaches, digestive discomfort, tension in the shoulders, insomnia. Those quiet signs that your system is overloaded. The end of 2025 is not threatening you. It is giving you a chance to adjust before the body is forced to shout. Tiny changes in diet, movement, time management, and especially in the way you talk to yourself inside your own head, can make a huge difference. Virgo often carries a very harsh inner critic. This period invites you to replace part of that criticism with care. Asking, how can I do this better, is great. Asking, what is wrong with me, only adds to the weight. On a deeper level, Virgo is being asked to revise the idea of usefulness. You are extremely helpful to others. But are you being helpful to yourself? When you accept every demand, say yes to every extra task, correct everything in silence, keep the outside world clean and organized while your inner world is in chaos, something does not add up. The end of 2025 offers a quiet but powerful possibility. Reorganize your life so that your talent for improving systems serves you instead of swallowing you. You do not need a radical revolution. You just need to stop leaving yourself permanently for later. Capricorn feels the closing of 2025 as a crossroads that may not be noisy, but is deeply serious. Career, long-term goals, life structure, reputation, the role you play in the world, all of this can reach turning points. Maybe a promotion finally arrives. Maybe a glass ceiling becomes visible for the first time. Maybe a path you have followed for years simply stops making sense. You might look at your daily life and realize you've been climbing a very tall ladder that is leaning against the wrong wall. There's a very honest question hanging in the air. If you keep walking exactly like this in the next 5 years, do you like the destination? That question does not demand panic, only truth. Sometimes the answer is yes, and the work is about refining, resting more, delegating better. Sometimes the answer is no, and the work is about bravely adjusting direction, even if you have already invested a lot of time where you are. Capricorn deeply values commitment, and that is beautiful. But commitment to a path that no longer matches who you are can slowly turn into a cage. Responsibility is another big theme. You may notice how much you carry for others, for family, for colleagues, for partners. Being reliable is one of your greatest strengths, but when reliability becomes self-erasure, there is a problem. The final months of 2025 can bring situations that expose the cost of always being the strong one. A moment of emotional collapse, a conversation where you finally admit you are tired, a situation where you simply cannot handle everything alone. Far from being a failure, these moments are invitations to a more sustainable idea of success. One that includes rest, vulnerability, and relationships in which you're not only the one who holds everything up, but also the one who is held sometimes. There may also be very concrete decisions to make, accepting or turning down a leadership role, ending or formalizing a partnership, moving into a position that looks less glamorous in other people's eyes but is much more aligned with your sanity, or daring to start something of your own after years spent building someone else's dream. Each choice carries weight, and you know that. That is why the universe seems to repeat. Measure the cost not only in status or money, but in life force. When you look at Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn together, one thing becomes clear. The end of 2025 is not trying to decorate your life. It is trying to make it more solid. 4 earth signs, What can still happen before the year ends is a series of adjustments that, taken one by one, may seem small, but when combined, change the whole feeling of your days. You can reorganize how you handle money, how you handle your time, how you relate to work, how you treat your own body. You can decide that certain standards you once saw as non-negotiable are, in fact, negotiable, and that your well-being is no longer the last item on the list. This is a time to remember that security is not the same as immobility. Real stability allows movement, adaptation, growth. If you are an earth sign, or if you have strong earth in your chart, the sky is gently but insistently pointing to the places where your life is too tight, too heavy, too full of I have to, and very low on I choose to. Before 2025 closes, there is still room to shift that balance. It may not look dramatic from the outside, but on the inside, it can mean the difference between dragging the same old load into 2026 or finally walking on ground that supports you, instead of ground you are constantly trying to hold together by yourself. From here, the energy will shift again. After looking at Earth comes air, ideas, conversation, connections, decisions made not with the body, but with the mind and the voice. In the next part, it is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius that step into focus, each one facing the questions the end of 2025 still want to ask about their relationships, their choices, and the way they show up in the world. When we move from Earth to air, the feeling of the story changes again. With Earth signs, everything gets very concrete. Bills, schedules, responsibilities, the weight of what you've taken on. With air signs, the focus shifts to something less visible but just as powerful. What you think, what you say, who you talk to, and how you connect the dots in your own mind. For Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, the end of 2025 is not only about what is happening, but about how you are narrating what is happening to others and to yourself. Air signs are like the nervous system of the Zodiac. They process information, translate emotions into words, build bridges between people and ideas. When the year is ending and the sky emphasizes their energy, things that were just thoughts or just conversations we'll have someday tend to knock on the door more insistently. The question hanging in the air becomes very clear. What truth needs to be spoken before this year is over? For Gemini, the last stretch of 2025 doesn't feel like a soft fade out. Life keeps sending data, messages, emails, invitations, news, unexpected phone calls, people who reappear after a long silence. That's not exactly new. Gemini lives in a permanent flow of information, but the tone changes. Instead of just giving you more to juggle, the universe starts quietly asking, out of all these options, which one are you actually going to commit to? You may find yourself facing decisions that can't be postponed much longer. A job that has been temporary for years may now demand a real yes or no. A project you've been flirting with, writing something, launching something, studying something, might present a concrete opportunity. A deadline, a partner, a course that starts now, not one day. A relationship that survives on texts and vague plans may ask for more definition. And people from your past may show up again, not necessarily to restart old stories, but to help you see clearly how you used to think, how you used to choose, and whether that still matches who you are now. The biggest temptation for Gemini is always to leave one more little window open. One more possibility, one more maybe, one more I'll see how I feel later. The energy at the end of 2025 doesn't want to lock you into a prison. It wants to free you from limbo. It wants you to experience how it feels when your mind and your actions finally move in the same direction. Choosing one path doesn't mean killing your curiosity forever. It just means allowing at least one story in your life to move to the next chapter, instead of keeping everything permanently stuck on the same page. For Libra, the tone of this period is more relational. It is as if someone cleaned the glass between you and the people in your life. Things you used to tolerate with a polite smile start to weigh more. Dynamics that were unfair but convenient for others begin to scratch at the surface of your peace. You might notice how often you're the one who apologizes first, who adjusts, who avoids the uncomfortable subject, who takes on one more task so nobody gets upset. At some point, a quiet question rises. And what about me? Where do I fit in this story? Even if you don't say it out loud, your heart understands exactly what that question means. This doesn't necessarily lead to dramatic fights or big breakups, though it can in some cases. Often, it shows up as more subtle but profound shifts. You stop laughing at jokes that belittle you. You answer honestly when someone asks if you're okay. You admit that something no longer works for you. You may have important conversations about what is fair in a partnership, about who gives and who receives, about what you need in order to feel respected. Long-standing relationships might go through a phase of renegotiation. Some come out stronger and more authentic. Others quietly end, not because you became cold, but because you stopped maintaining something that only existed because you were the one holding it up. The risk for Libra is to confuse harmony with the absence of tension. Real harmony is alive. It breathes, it allows disagreement. It welcomes two different perspectives in the same room. Fake peace is that strange flat silence where everybody pretends and nobody relaxes. Toward the end of 2025, life seems to be inviting you to trade fake peace with a chance at real connection. That can mean saying no where you always said yes, naming a hurt you always swallowed, or finally admitting that you want more honesty, more presence, more reciprocity. It's not easy for a sign that feels other people's reactions so deeply. But once you cross that line, there is a huge relief in realizing you no longer have to disappear just to keep everyone comfortable. Aquarius, on the other hand, faces the end of 2025 with a focus on groups, networks, and future plans. It's not just about individual relationships, but about the collective spaces you belong to, friends, communities, teams, online circles, causes you support, ideas you share with others. Some of these spaces may feel more electric than ever, full of interesting people, projects, and conversations that wake up your mind. Others may feel strangely outdated, as if you walked into a room where the music is still playing, but the party ended a long time ago. You might suddenly see the patterns in the groups you choose, circles that repeat the same drama, conversations that never move beyond complaining, friendships held together only by nostalgia or by the fear of being alone. At the same time, new communities may appear, people who think like you or who think differently but challenge you in a good way, projects with a clear sense of purpose, spaces where you feel safe to be more honest about your ideas and your quirks. Social media can be part of this process too. The way you show up online, the topics you talk about, the way you interact might shift towards something more intentional. The temptation for Aquarius, when things get emotionally intense, is to detach completely. Leave the group, ghost the chat, disappear behind a screen of irony or distance. Sometimes that is healthy. Not every space deserves your energy. But other times, real growth asks you to stay, to keep showing up in a group where you are seen, even if being seen feels uncomfortable at first. To speak up about what you believe, even if your voice shakes a little. To admit that you care, even if you'd rather pretend you don't. The end of 2025 has this flavor. Less quietly observing from the outside, more participating from a place of choice. When you look at Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius together, a common theme becomes very clear. The last part of the year wants air signs to take responsibility for their role in the stories they tell. Words are not just decoration. A conversation can close a wound or open one. A decision can clear away years of confusion or stretch it out even longer. Silence can be wise, but it can also be an escape. Until the year ends, there is still time for a few key conversations that change the inner climate of your life. That might mean finally expressing gratitude to someone who supported you quietly. It might mean asking the question you've been afraid to ask, because you know the answer could change everything. It might mean apologizing without a long justification for something you said or did. It might mean telling yourself on paper or out loud a new version of your own story. One in which you are not just a person things happen to, but someone who chooses, who learns, and who adjusts along the way. The air element reminds us that the way we think and speak shapes the reality we walk into. Before 2025 closes, air signs and the air inside each of us are being reminded that mindset is not just a buzzword. It is a lens. Clean the lens, and some situations that looked impossible reveal new exits. Keep the lens dirty. And even the best opportunity looks like a threat. There is still time to adjust that focus. And once we've traveled through fire, earth, and air, there is one last realm we can't ignore. Water. Emotions, memories, intuition. Endings that happen quietly in the heart before they appear on the outside. In the next part, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces step into the foreground, each bringing a different way of feeling this closing chapter of 2025, and a different kind of courage required to let some stories end and others begin. When we arrive at the water signs, the story of the year stops sounding like an external forecast and starts feeling like a diary you haven't finished writing. With Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, the end of 2025 is less about what people see you doing and more about what only you know you are feeling. It's about memories that don't quite let go, fears that still echo, attachments that became comfortable, and an intuition that keeps quietly saying, something here needs to change. Cancer steps into this last part of the year with a spotlight on home, family, and the sense of belonging. All those themes you file under, I'll deal with this later. That tense conversation with a parent, resentment from an old situation, discomfort in your living space, the way you always end up being the emotional anchor for everyone, start to feel heavier if they stay unresolved. Little things you used to dismiss as, that's just how my family is, can suddenly feel like too much. You might catch yourself replaying the same role over and over. The one who mediates, who protects, who makes excuses, who tries to keep the peace no matter how you feel inside. The end of 2025 gives Cancer a rare window to shift that pattern. Sometimes it shows up as a practical situation. Someone moves out, someone moves in. You consider changing homes or even cities. Family routines are forced to change. Other times it's purely internal. A moment when you realize you can love people and still refuse to carry what is not yours. The key theme is emotional boundaries. Not walls, not coldness, but a simple, honest recognition of what you can hold and what you can't anymore. You may be surprised by how much changes in your outer relationships when, inside, you stop accepting the role of endless emotional storage. In love, similar questions appear. Are you taking care of everyone's feelings and ignoring your own? Are you staying in situations that hurt you because they feel familiar? Are you giving so much that the only way you know you're loved is when someone needs you? As the year closes, Cancer has a chance to rewrite that script. Saying this is not okay for me might shake the surface, but it also opens space for relationships where you don't have to vanish to be appreciated. One honest conversation, even if your voice shakes, can be the beginning of a very different kind of intimacy. Scorpio meets the end of 2025 in a place it knows well, the territory of deep change. But this time, the focus isn't on dramatic crises from the outside. It's more subtle and, in a way, more demanding. The universe quietly asking what you're still holding in the dark that has already expired. Old grudges, unspoken anger, silent vows like, I'll never let anyone do that to me again. Emotional debts, secrets you keep out of shame or pride. All that gets heavier if it stays buried. The last stretch of the year has a way of bringing these things up, not to expose you, but to free you. Situations involving trust, loyalty, and control may come to the surface. You might see clearly where you try to control every detail because the idea of surrender terrifies you. You might notice where jealousy, suspicion, or old wounds still dictate how you relate, even when the person in front of you now has done nothing to earn that weight. You might realize you've stayed in connections built more on intensity and drama than on respect and care. In finances, themes like shared money, investments, debts, inheritances, or joint responsibilities can demand decisions. These are the places where your instinct to hold on tight can either protect you or trap you. The end of 2025 invites Scorpio into a different kind of strength. The kind that comes from letting go of what you can't control and owning what you actually feel. Admitting hurt doesn't make you weak. Allowing yourself to grieve something you pretended didn't matter doesn't make you pathetic. Saying, this broke me and I am rebuilding can be one of the most powerful sentences of your life. This is a time to let a few old identities die. The one who never needs anyone. The one who has everything under control. The one who is always 3 steps ahead. Underneath all of that, there is a much more honest version of you that is ready to live. If you let the armor crack just a little. Pisces closes the group with a flavor of endings that are almost invisible to the outside world, but huge for your inner one. The end of 2025 for Pisces feels like the final scenes of a long story you've carried mostly in your heart. Silent crushes, almost relationships, hopes you never said out loud, fantasies you used to escape reality. guilt you kept replaying, promises you made to yourself and never honored, all of that can come up in waves. It's not to drown you. It's to ask which of these threads you really want to carry into the next year. You may notice that certain situations you've been keeping open are, in truth, already over. Someone you've been waiting on without any real sign from them. A dream of going back to a past moment and fixing everything. An image of yourself that belongs to who you were years ago, not who you are now. The end of 2025 hands you a quiet but powerful choice. Hold on to these ghosts, or let them go and finally stand fully where you are. Pisces often has a huge heart capacity to forgive others, to understand others, to give others 1,000 chances. The question now is whether you're willing to offer some of that same grace to yourself. Your intuition is likely to be very sharp in this period. Dreams, synchronicities, strong feelings in your body, a sentence you hear at exactly the right time, a song that suddenly hits differently. All of these could be ways your deeper wisdom is trying to talk to you. Instead of dismissing those moments as just imagination, you might experiment with treating them as messages. Not messages telling you exactly what to do, step by step, but gentle nudges toward what feels truthful, peaceful, alive. The more you listen, the easier it becomes to notice where you've been lying to yourself and where you're finally ready to live in alignment. Across Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, a pattern becomes clear. Water signs are not being asked to do more. They're being asked to feel more honestly. The end of 2025 isn't trying to push you into huge external changes, unless those changes naturally follow from an inner shift. The real work is quieter, allowing certain stories to end inside you, even if the world never knows how big that ending was. Letting go of the idea that you have to keep holding everyone together. Letting yourself admit this hurt me, or this no longer fits, or I've outgrown this version of myself. What can still happen for water signs before the year ends is often invisible from the outside. A decision to stop chasing someone who never truly chose you. A private moment where you forgive a parent for what they couldn't give. A deep breath in which you finally accept that something is gone, and that you are still here, capable of building a different chapter. These are not scenes people applaud, but they change the quality of everything you live afterwards. And the truth is, we all have water somewhere in our charts. That means this call to emotional honesty is not just for Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. It's for any part of you that has been pretending not to care, when in fact it cares deeply. As 2025 approaches its closing pages, there's still time to make peace with some things you've been carrying for far too long. Once we walk through fire, earth, air, and water, something important becomes possible. Stepping back and seeing the bigger picture. In the final part, we leave the focus on individual signs and talk about you as a whole person. The question stops being only what can still happen for my sign and becomes what do I want to do with the time that's left in this year. By now, after walking through fire, earth, air, and water, it's easy to see that the end of 2025 isn't just whatever happens in the last weeks of the year. It's a kind of checkpoint between who you were when the year began and who you are becoming now. The signs show different flavors of this process, but there's a thread that runs through all of them. Life is asking for a little more truth, a little more coherence, a little more presence before the calendar turns. For the fire signs, the message was about courage with direction. For the earth signs, about foundations that actually hold, not just look solid from a distance. For the air signs, about conversations and choices that break the hypnosis of one day I'll deal with it. For the water signs, about endings and feelings that need to be honored instead of being pushed to the back of the drawer. Even if you don't remember the details for each one, you can feel the pattern. This is not a time to decorate a life you no longer fit inside. It's a time to adjust the shape of the life itself. The first step to using this stretch of 2025 differently is almost boring in theory, but transformative in practice. Noticing where you are exhausted and what is draining you. Noticing where you feel alive and with whom. Noticing which situations keep repeating the same script, no matter how much you change the cast. Noticing which ideas excite you, but that you always push into the later pile. Most of us go entire years without this kind of attention. The home stretch of a year, especially under a sky this insistent, is an invitation to at least look. Once you start to see, the second step is choosing one thing. Not 5, not 10, not my whole life. One area, one theme, one piece of your story. It might be money. It might be your body. It might be work. It might be family. It might be one specific relationship. It might be your relationship with rest. And then you ask yourself a simple question. What can I still change here before 2025 is over? It doesn't have to be grand. In fact, the more concrete and small it is, the more likely you are to actually do it. Maybe it's sending a message you've been rehearsing for a long time, booking an appointment you always put off, saying no to an obligation you take on every year that completely drains you, starting a notebook and writing down everything you didn't have the courage to say out loud, organizing your finances in a way that, for the first time, you know exactly what comes in and what goes out, apologizing without justifying, stopping the effort to make something happen that clearly isn't happening, no matter how much it hurts to admit that. It's not about becoming a whole new person by New Year's Eve. It's about taking one step toward the person you already know exists inside you. The third layer is the way you talk to yourself about what you lived in 2025. You can look at the year as a sequence of things that happened to you, or you can look at it as a sequence of scenes where, yes, sometimes you had no choice about what arrived, but you always had some kind of choice about how you responded. This isn't a guilt speech. It's a speech about authorship. When you recognize yourself as someone who chooses, even if at certain moments you chose to stay put, something shifts in how you face what's still ahead. It might help, before the year ends, to do a small inventory ritual. It doesn't have to be mystical at all, just honest. Take a piece of paper and write 3 lists. What I want to take with me into 2026. What I don't want to repeat anymore, and what I can still start now. In the first list go people, habits, inner discoveries, small gestures that were good for you. In the second, patterns, relationships, postures, empty promises, stories that turn out to be too heavy. In the third, simple actions that fit into the next few weeks. Course corrections that don't require a miracle, only a decision. It's impossible to control what the sky still holds in terms of events. Sometimes, right up to the last second, life really does surprise you. Good news that arrives out of nowhere, an unlikely meeting, an invitation that changes your plans, a plot twist you couldn't have predicted. Other times, nothing very visible happens, but inside you shed a skin. The person who walks into January is not the same one who started the previous year. Not because everything outside changed, but because the way you show up in front of what happens is more aligned with who you are. Maybe you reached this point in 2025 with the feeling that you failed at several goals. Maybe you broke promises you made to yourself. Maybe you got lost in relationships that now seem obviously off. Maybe you pushed decisions forward that now feel urgent. Even so, there is still a piece of road left. What was missing up to this point does not have to define what you do with the time that remains. You don't need to do everything right to justify turning the page on the year. You just need to do something true enough that when you look back, you can say, that's where I stopped living on autopilot. All of this applies to any sign. The transits speak to different areas for each person, but no chart is a certificate of an unchangeable fate. The sky shows the weather, not a sentence. If the forecast is rain, you can go out without an umbrella, complain about being soaked, and blame the weather. Or you can look out the window, grab a coat, choose a different route, maybe even enjoy the rain a little, if that's the mood. The final stretch of 2025 is like that look out the window. It doesn't change the weather, but it changes how you step outside. So the question stops being just what can still happen to my sign, and becomes who do I want to be no matter what happens? You can end the year still trying to hold everything together with the same tired hands, repeating the same excuses, with the same story that next year I'll deal with this. Or you can use these final chapters to adjust one sentence, one choice, one direction. Don't underestimate the power of small decisions made with a lot of awareness. When the clock hits midnight and the calendar flips to a new page, there won't be a magic portal that erases everything that came before. You cross over with the same mind, the same heart, the same body. But you also cross over with every choice you made in the moments when you thought there was no time left. And that's where the most beautiful part lives. As long as there's still days, hours, encounters, and breaths left inside 2025, there's still room for you to move a little closer to the life that truly belongs to you.